Welcome to Attican Plays Airport CEO. All right, hi, this is Attican, and welcome to the start of a new series. This is Series 2, Episode 1 of Airport CEO. And the first thing to note is that we are now on Alpha 36, which is the last alpha. We now have all the major functionality that's going to be in the intended production game, at least at this point. So what we have here, you can see it's called the emergency state. And we're actually running it in the experimental branch. It hasn't been moved over to the regular alpha yet. But you can see it brings emergency events, services and units, contract negotiations, new tooling, and muchy, don't know what that extra E is for, more. So it's pretty cool. I've played around with a little bit just so I know what was going on. And we're going to start a new airport in Alpha 36. So let's see if I can find myself more or less. Might as well stay consistent with our character. Okay. That's kind of me. We definitely want the power suit. Okay. And again, we're going to be Daniel is leaving tonight on a plane, Attican. Okay. Let's go. All right. Now, we're not going to do Midway again. We built a big airport between Huntington and Charleston, West Virginia. Help those cities grow. But we're still going to work on West Virginia. We're going to go back. Let's see how well I can do here. About right there. Bluefield, perfecto. We're going to go to Bluefield, West Virginia, a small town right down, right on the border between Virginia and West Virginia, right at the southern tip. And we're going to put in an airport in Bluefield. And we're just going to call it Bluefield Airport. And our IATA is going to be blah, BLA, and we'll use this logo. Now, here we see our first kind of sign of these emergency events. On easy, you get 3 million cash, very rare emergency events. Moderate, we get 2 million cash and rare events. Difficult, we get only 1 million cash and common events. And of course, we're going to extreme, which means we get very little money to start with to build an airport, and very common emergency events. They are going to flood us with these things. That's okay. That's okay. So here we go. Okay, so we can see here we've got our world generated for us. We've got our usual 4 squares to work with. We have access to 1. The other 3 are locked. And we are going to skip that intro. Now, we are kind of stuck with the tutorial as far as some of the stuff they want you to do, because you have to do the stuff in order to open up other things. So we are going to follow that to some extent because... All right, so unfortunately, some road construction has started, or well, maybe not road, but some sort of construction has just started right outside my house here. Very, very loud, and it just pours through the narration. So I'm going to have to do this as an after-the-fact voiceover, and I will tell you just one quick thing. The original narration was just so good. It was life-changing. It's just a shame that you'll never get to hear it. But anyway, I'll do the best I can. And I'm showing you here the new interfaces. They've got these menus that you can just scroll over them down there, and you can see your baggage. You can check your vehicles and see if you've got enough or you need to buy more vehicles. About to move over here to the jobs. This one's great. It's even color-coded green, and just like the one we saw before in 35, only now that's here, and it's super easy to get to. This is just such a big improvement. Good job, guys. Good job, developers, putting that in. You can see arriving and departing passengers. You can see your people. You can see your vehicles. It's great. That's really nice. And that's going to streamline and cut down some of all those keystrokes you had to do in order to get to that before. So what we're going to do here is start. I have played around with the emergency enough to just have a clue what's happening. So we're going to start our little airport here by putting down a small runway, and we're going to set it all the way over to the west of our airport, but we're going to go in here and set it up to be exactly 10 buildable squares up from what is the bottom, or right now that we're looking at it from the left. And it's going to be exactly 10 for a very specific reason, which you'll see later on. But we're going to situate it like that. And for this first airport, we're actually going to build 2 or maybe 3 kind of distinct airports in this series, all on this lot. So it's going to be 3 distinct terminals. But it's really that way we can kind of look at 3 different designs of airports. So we're going to set this one up with a single runway, which means we're going to need to be able to get on to go out and on to get off. And we don't want the airplanes actually taxiing on the runway. We want them to get off and taxi. So we're going to set it up like this with a taxiway parallel to the runway, and then we're going to set up our gates off of that, and we're doing just that little single line taxiway because we can get away with that for these small vehicles up front, and we're just doing quick grass runways, and that allows us to construct these as cheaply and as quickly as possible. And what I'm showing you right here is if I dragged it over, it says the cost is $600, but it's really only charging us $400 for the 2 new ones we're building. So it's a little misleading. If you're dragging it over something you've already laid out, like right here, I'm kind of illustrating it, the one where it crosses, we wouldn't get charged for that. And so I really think they should change that. This should not say $600, it should say $400, because that's what you're spending. You can even, if you watch it closely, when I click that, there's a minus $400 that goes by, and then you can watch our dollar figures and confirm that it's only charging us $400, even though it's saying $600. So that's an opportunity for improvement, I think, in the game. But anyway, what we're laying out here is our startup general aviation airport. So we're going to have 5 taxiways or stands for general aviation flights, and we're going to go ahead and build anything we know that's going to come up in our tutorial. So we're going to set up a little deal here with the avgas fuel depot and a little parking lot for our service vehicles, and then just connect them by the short little line there, connect them into our little service road network at the back of those stands. Now we want to set up a checkpoint and line it up with that the last set of the last runway there, so that service vehicles can come from the outside our property, come in, go through that checkpoint, and get into our system. Now all we need really to have an airport at this point is an air traffic control building, and then we're going to lay that out and put it. I was just contemplating where do I really want to put it, and we're going to put it right down there, right below the checkpoint. Then we're going to put it in a weather station, and I decided to put that up here kind of. We've got sort of dead space here between the our taxiway and our runway, so I'm going to put it up there in that dead space just to keep it out of the way. So now we're going to go out and set up a contract, and here we can see, once we hit the contract, we'll see 3 differences that are new to this Alpha 36. First one is this. I don't know what that is. It looks like a computer. I don't know what that does. There's no pop-up documentation for it. If anybody knows, please put it in the comments. Next one here is negotiation points. We won't see these for a while, but these will be used when we get into negotiations with unions and stuff like that. That's coming down the road. And this one here we're looking at right there, available contract rating. This one is relevant to us right now. Because we're sort of a mediocre reputation, we get started at 50, we're kind of average. We only get up to 3-star contracts. So that nice one with Blue Build that we've had before, we don't get that. So we can either pay $870 with HWI or I think that says 60 with the one we picked. So that's going to give us our contractors, but they're more expensive than we could have gotten if we without this functionality. So this adds a little layer of challenge because now we have to pay more for all of our contractors to do buildings. Now, key thing here, deploy 50 first to make sure that there's room for your materials to get past and be delivered, some of your building material. That way your people can get right to work, and then you can go back and deploy the rest if you want everybody, and I do. I want to go fast as possible. So now the rest of them can come out here and be deployed, but those buses don't hold up the delivery of your building materials. Now, Gregor Farnsworth, if you remember, he was the mayor of Huntington in our first airport, so he must have moved. I guess he moved down to Bluefield. Now, this is going to go by pretty quickly because we got 87 people out there building, and we're just building. Most of this is all grass kind of stuff. So this is quick construction. And we're going to set up our taxiway path, just, stretch it out through as fast as these guys will clear the space for us. And hook in our stands to the taxiway path. And look at that, it's already all the way up there. So now we can go in, we actually have what we need. We have air traffic control, we have a runway, we have taxiway, we have some stands. So we're going to turn that on for small planes, general aviation. And of course, small planes, that's all we can do on a small runway. It's not long enough for a bigger plane to come in. Now we're going to go back over to operations, open the airport, and allow general aviation. And that's going to give those 5 stands down there some air traffic coming in. And that's really where we are in the tutorial. If we go over here, we're ready. We now have to wait for 5 general aviation flights to land. We also see, though, there's another task that's been added by the emergency release, these Alpha 36, and that is small animals. You'll get foxes or some other critter will wander out onto your property. They'll get on your taxiway or they'll get on your runway. And if they're on the runway, they'll damage the airplanes when they land or take off. If they're on the taxiway, they'll actually stop your planes. They'll just hesitate and stop until the animal gets out of the way. So we don't want that. We want to get rid of those animals and prevent them from visiting us. So we're going to fence in our airport on the boundaries. So we're going all the way over to the boundary. We're going to go up as high as we can go over here. And then on this other side, we could go all the way out and do it around the whole thing. But we don't need that much yet. We're not going to be building over there to the right half of this first quadrant yet. So what I'm doing here is planning ahead to think about what I'm going to do with roads. I am going to do something with the access roads. We are going to handle passenger traffic in this build and bring people in by bus and taxi and car into our airport. So we're going to put this fence kind of a little past halfway across our property from left to right, and just fence in that left half, if you will, so that we can keep the critters out of there. They don't have gates, so you can't build anything over the actual road, but it seems, from the little bit I've seen, that if you have it built like this, where it goes to both sides of the main road, you don't get any critters. So you can see, too, that brown that's the barbed wire, that's the completed fence. The kind of blue-gray shading is the planned fence. It's a little hard to see, especially up high like this, but the blue-gray, you can see down the bottom a good example of it, blue-gray and the more brown shade as it's completed. So now we've got our contractors busy, and the whole point of this really is to keep the contractors busy while we what am I trying to say? Keep the contractors busy while we're waiting on those general aviation flights. Okay, we're going to hire a CFO and a COO and train them up, and that's all the execs we can get right now. But they will give us access to our reports, so we can get daily reports on how we did with economics from the CFO and how we did in operations from our COO, or Chief Operating Officer. So now we've hit the point, we've gotten enough vehicles or planes to land, we can get into the avgas business. So what we're going to do is get a contract with a fuel company, and unfortunately we got the limit of 3, so we're going to go with this Avifuel for $1.35 a liter for avgas and 34 cents a liter for jet fuel. That's very expensive compared to what we did in the first playthrough. So again, the game has gotten a little bit harder because we're starting out with no money, very little money, and we're having to pay more for everything. So I'm glad to see that. I don't know, I can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but the game needed to be a little harder. It's a little too easy, so it needed to be a little more difficult to play. And sure enough, this Alpha 36 has added to the difficulty of the game. So our truck just came in, the vendor truck just came in and delivered our gas, and then our ordered vehicle, we ordered a fuel truck, and it has arrived, and now we can turn on that avgas fuel service, and pardon me, and that way we can start fueling up these vehicles, because that's the next thing we have to do to progress in the tutorial. We need to refuel 5 of these aircraft. So, but we're not going to stop here and just sit. We've got most of our fencing built, and we need to keep these contractors moving. So we're going to go out and get as much money, pretty much as much as we can. We're going to open up another loan, or a loan. I guess this is our first one, for over $600,000. So now we have $800,000 to play with. So now we can do some damage. So now we're going to extend our little airfield and put in 10 more aircraft stands, and they're going to go right up, match up all the way up the runway. So when you have the small stands and a small runway, you can fit, kind of line them up, square it off, if you will, 15 of those stands. So we're going to have 5 down here. The first 5 we did are going to stay general aviation. These right here can be general aviation for a while, and the 10 we just added will eventually become our commercial stands, and that's where we'll run our commercial business. And we're going to go ahead and set up the terminal itself, and it's going to be a very compact, small, hopefully efficient terminal. We're going to start out with 5 wide concourse that runs from all 10 of those. It connects up all 10 of those stands that were, are going to end up being commercial. And now we're going to go in the halfway point and do a 10 wide by 5. And that's it, just 10 by 5. This is going to be very compact, maybe a little bit too much so. But we're going to do a 10 by 5 kind of main entryway or main terminal of this little airport. We're going to go ahead and put in our doors, because we want those doors to be built rather than building a wall and then knocking the wall down and building a door. We just want to build the door right off the bat. And so I made a little template so I could do 2 at a time, and I get out here to this one and goof it up. I don't know why, but I goofed. You can see that I was 1 to the left there, and then I put these in. And every time I do this, I do the same thing. I wanted to do a template and do them all at the same time. The doors and the seats and the flowers and the trash cans and all that stuff. And I always forget and do the doors first. I think because I'm thinking I want to get those doors in there before the builders get out there and start putting in walls. But at any rate, we're going to just put in 1 large bench. It's all you need for these small flights. Remember, these flights are like 15 max kind of airplanes. So we're going to put in 1 small bench and line it up. And here is where I realize, oops, I got this wrong. I've got the something's wrong here. I'm looking, my eyes are saying, no, wait, something's wrong. And then I realized, sure enough, the doors are off. And of course, I clicked a little too high on that door and got the aircraft stand as well. So we'll replace the stand and then put the doors in the right place and move on from there. And let's just move ahead a little bit. This is this is boring. So you saw there, I set up some bathrooms, and so we'll have a bathroom at the kind of at the end of each concourse, and one in the main terminal, and a little tiny staff room that only holds 3 desks and a chair and a plant. And wanted to get those gone. I wanted that construction done. You can also see I've left doors there. I debated knocking down all that, all the wall going from the main reception area, if you will, into the concourse, and decide, no, we're going to see if they fixed it. We're going to keep some of the walls and put our security kind of sticking through those gaps. So I measured it out to put 2 security checkpoints eventually when we get there through the tutorial, and 1 exit right in the middle. So we're going to use 2 doors because it's kind of an even number. It's 10 across there, 10 of the big squares. And this style is going to have a lot of sidewalks, which is going to slow us down for a bit. It's going to cost a little bit, and it costs us some time to build it. But that's okay. I think it looks nice. So we're going to set up, to get us going, we're going to set up 1 bus stop, 1 taxi stop, 1 car stop right there at the main entrance. And you notice they have their own platforms, which is really a sidewalk, right? They kind of come with their own sidewalk. So as long as we link it up to the double sidewalk there right in front of the doors, then those can work. Now what we want to do with we're going to put parking lots on either side too, a total of 4, 2 on each side. And we got to scoot them over like that so that they can hook up with the sidewalk. And I could definitely, save money and time and just do a really thin, like 1 or 2 rows of sidewalk instead of 4 like this. But I think it looks nice like this. So I said, forget it. We're just going to go ahead and do it. So we're going to have 2 parking lots over there, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Got a nice little symmetrical design. We're going to have 2 parking lots over on that side. And we'll have a whole bunch of sidewalks. Really, the whole front of the airport is going to be kind of surrounded by sidewalks, which should frame it nicely and look good. Because we all know how much I'm into the eye candy of games. So now I want to figure out, well, how are you going to get in there? And what I want to do to control traffic and keep things moving, we're going to have this is the exit part. So the exit's going to go all the way down. And I started to put it right there and had a change of heart because I've watched this. I've done this before. And if you let them exit right there where that cursor is at this moment, they won't go to the main road and turn right. They'll turn through that checkpoint, which should be fixed. They shouldn't do that. But I'm going to move it up one. I'm going to prevent that by moving it up 1 higher like that. Then on the end, this is going to be coming in. We're building basically a big loop here. We want to avoid what I'm circling there, the contractor construction materials and the contractor dump site where your contractors go. And that's where you can get traffic jams. So the reason I'm doing this is I want to avoid that. I want to leave that there, and it's in a pretty decent location. It's fairly convenient to everything. We can leave it there, but I want to make sure that our main road actually goes around it, and so that we don't have activity there stopping the flow of our traffic to and from the airport. or conversely, traffic to and from our airports, stopping the flow of contract supplies and people. The only thing I don't, one thing well, not the only, one thing I don't care for with when you're doing these little runways with the grass, you can't really see them, and it's really even hard for me to tell unless I get way down low like that whether I've asked for them or not, whether they've been built or not, whether they exist or not. I just almost have to run the taxiway path over them to figure it out. But no big deal. But you can see as we finish them, that connects up more and more of them to our avgas, and they're all being used now kind of as default general aviation stands for the time being. And what I'm doing here, I remember during the comments, it would be really great if you could prioritize your build. Now, you could obviously, if I wanted to carefully orchestrate this to speed things up, like doing a speed run or something, you could decide exactly what to build, when, and where to maximize the speed and efficiency of your contractors and your builds. But I find it's much more pleasant and much more enjoyable to lay out the whole thing and or large chunks of it and see how it all comes together and then let it get built. But it would be great if I could take click something over there next to the bulldozers or some other icon and have a priority and say, all right, guys, go build right here. Go build that staff room, because that's what we need, or go build a little bit of sidewalk. Just go right, in this particular case, go build some sidewalk. And right there, I was trying to figure out what in the world's that red thing, but that's actually the weather station we put out there way back at the start. So here you can see they want us to put some office desk in the staff room and decorate with, and here's where I goofed a little. I keep forgetting this. I'm trying to get better. But I'd really love to set priority and say, go build that staff room so I can get this done, and it'll give me credit for those office chairs. And I'm still waiting for that one little piece of taxiway to get built so I can connect up that final stand to our system. But all the rest of them are up and running, and we're getting good general aviation traffic. You can see down in the lower right, we are losing money, but it's a slow leak. It's one of those things, we're not hemorrhaging, but we are definitely leaking, and it would eventually kill us, but it would take a long time. And right now, it's really a race against time. We're in debt. We have to move at any kind of pace. When you only have $500,000, you got to go in debt, and we're just racing against getting that done before we just get too far in debt and can't borrow our way out of it. And right here, I finally punch in and realize that one of the things it's waiting on floors. That's what's keeping us from moving ahead. I keep thinking it's the desk, but that's not our problem. Our problem, I haven't bothered to put flooring down in the airport. So I'm just going to go ahead while we're at it and just kind of paint the whole thing, if you will, with blue carpet. Everything except the bathrooms, we're going to use a little tile for them just to make them look different. But we'll use that kind of dark blue shade. It's not too offensive. And there we go. Now it should. Now I want to put tile in the bathrooms. And this bathroom right here is the first one I built, and it didn't quite fit. It was an odd size, or actually the problem is it wasn't an odd size, it was an even size between the staff room and the wall, that other wall, so I had to finagle and put some extra plants in that one, but no big deal. So now we've reached a new phase. We've reached the hiring phase where we want to get into research. So what we want to do now is go get some staff. We see we can't do any more executives, so we need administrators, and we need 3 to go as fast as we can. So we're going to pick the ones that are probably a good price. You know, this guy here, I'm circling him because the one we would reject. He's too low. He will never be trained up well. The other one, we would take him later on because I'm more interested in having the body than having a cheap price for them. I want these administrators, and my plan, of course, will be to end up with 30 administrators, because that you'll see that later. If you haven't already seen that in the other series, 30 administrators to me is the perfect number at the end of the day. Once you get all your research done, and you would need a lot of administrators in order to move quickly through your research. So now we've set that little tiny staff room up and made it administrator only. We don't need a crowd of people in there. Everybody else can just wander around the hallways for a while. And thinking about that makes me think, okay, you know what, let's do something else. I always forget. Let's put in some vending so that these people can get something to eat and drink if they really want it. So we're going to put in vending machines. We'll put a drink and a food and some trash cans, and put one there in the main area. Then we're going to copy it, and we're going to put it. I don't know how much. I wonder how much of my life I've wasted trying to click that template and having it not come back. But anyway, sorry, a little venting there. We're going to put those near the bathrooms. That's a good way to figure out where to put them. Now we've got. The concourse has a couple. The main entryway has a couple, and the other thing we want to do now, we got a CFO, so we can do this. We want to set our pricing. Really should have done this. I was a little late. I should have done this to charge more for the general aviation flights we've already taken in and the gas we've already sold. But anyway, better late than never here. So we're going to set up all our pricing, run it all the way up till it's offensive, and then back it off one. So we're going to be on the verge of offending everybody all the time, but not quite. We're not going to be the red, which is just totally objectionable, but we're going to be very expensive. Why? Because one, we can, and two, we need the money. We need the income. We need to be able to grow in order to allow us to grow into a bigger airport later, and even to make a profit on this little puddle jumper airport. We are going to have to. Well, we don't have to. We could possibly survive without doing this, and our ratings would probably go up faster, but I like the money. I like the money up front especially. So here's the interesting little problem now. We've hired our administrators, and the research hasn't started. Why not? Because they can't get to work. We haven't finished the road network to allow them to take transportation to get in there to get to our airport. So we're going to have to wait until that construction gets done. And I'm going to stop and just kind of jump ahead until that's done, because we're now literally just waiting on the construction. And I contemplated, kludging up something to, deleting a bunch of stuff, just building a direct line to get in there real fast. I said, no, don't mess it up. You did all that work laying it out. Just let it get built. Be patient a little bit. Okay, so we've got enough. The road's finished. Our administrators were able to get to work, and now we've got commercial license research going on. So we're in pretty good shape now. We've got that project going. We're still running a fairly large general aviation practice right now. And what I've decided to do here now, the big building is over for a while. We've got our terminal. We've got most of the big stuff. So we're going to dismiss some of the contractors. We don't need to be paying for them. We're going to dismiss enough of them so that we have 50 left. That's still a lot. We're going to have 50 contractors left, because once this research is finished, then we'll go into another phase of building, but that building will be fairly quick. It's just basically some equipment and stuff we need to put in our airport. But you can see here, we've got the basic flow of cars, trucks, taxis, parking. We've got the building is built, our stands are built. You know, the building is going to be minimal at this point. So now it's just a matter of getting this research done, and then that way we can start doing another little set of building that, again, it's not as much, but it's important, where we set up our security stuff for running an actual commercial airport. So right there, I'm seeing, oh man, we made money. And then I realized, no, we took in $630,000 in loans. We lost money. Of course we lost money. We should be losing money right now. We wouldn't expect to be doing anything but losing money right now. But the good news is that we've moved on in the tutorial, meaning that our research is finished. And right there, I was making the basically saying what I just got through saying. We had a bad day, really. It appeared to be good at first. And this is a generic message about security. We don't need to do that again. Our operations is nothing really interesting right now. So let's trash our mail and move on. So let's get another research going. And we're going to do jet fuel because that's quick. You can do research quickly, and it's another potential profit source for it. Sorry, that was hard to say. Profit source for us once we move to commercial flights, because all the commercial planes run on jet fuel. So now we've got to set up our security. So we have to set up our secure zone, which is going to be the entire concourse, including the doors to outside. And I'm also going to set it through the wall like that so that those little areas there are also secure. And then we're going to see how this goes by we'll put in a security checkpoint here. And I actually thought they were 4 wide, but we'll see how that works. And so we'll have 2 of those, 1 on each side, and then we're going to have the exit where you come out of the concourse to go out of security, back out to leave the airport, right there in the middle to serve both sides. We could put 2 in, but it's just not necessary. This is a small airport. It is intended to be a small airport. So now we need people to be able to check in. So what we're going to do is set these up every other row, if you will. We're going to leave space between each one. The reason being, they walk down, they check in, and then they can turn to the side and walk back out. They have room to walk back out to go out to the security checkpoint to get into the concourse. So that's actually, and I was actually talking through that. That's why I'm doing all this running around with the mouse right now. And just as a reminder, this is a after the fact narration because I had so much construction noise that my original narration was ruined by all the noise. So we're going to put some seats in here. I don't know if this is going to be a great idea or not, but we're going to put some seating in here so people will come in and just kind of chill out in our little tiny terminal waiting for the check-in to start. Because the way that it seems to flow, people get here early and then they wait until a certain amount of time before the flight to start the check-in. So check-in, of course, for the flights isn't there all the time. Now we've got, 3, 6, 7? We have 7 check-in desks. We only have 4 what they call customer service agents, but that's okay. They will just move from desk to desk if they need to support more than 4 flights. The key is to have enough desks to support your flights, and more agents is good, but you can get away with just a few. And I think I saw one there I didn't like. I got a little close. It doesn't matter, but one of them was a little out of line. Maybe not. I think it was. But anyway, I'm setting them back a little more than I have been in the past. We'll see how we like that. Should give them a little more room to move in and out of there. And so now we've got the ability to check in, go through security check, go to your gate, and eventually board the plane. And we kept 50 contractors around for the purpose of doing this. And you can see they took almost all the building material, which means we're going to get all this built, almost all of this built in one pass. We had almost enough people to do the whole thing in one pass. And as they finish these, I'm going to go in and convert the stand to commercial. And what I'm showing right there is I've got the option set where any stand in this airport could be international. And by default, they come in as they are domestic. But if we want to flip that switch, we turn them into international. But we're going to leave them all as domestic. These are all small planes. I don't think they could fly far enough to get out of the country. It'd be tough, maybe to parts of Canada. So we're going to, as I said, associate a desk with each one and convert each one to commercial. Now that will boot any general aviation craft that happens to be parked there. That'll boot them out. They'll eventually leave and clear the space for us. So there's no problem with having the general aviation craft come in there for a while. They will leave in time and get out of your way. So you can just make extra revenue for a while you're waiting on your commercial license. Okay, so now we have to go to our runway, set it for commercial use. So now we have, now we're starting to have a commercial business. So now we need some folks to take care of our passengers. So we're going to go out and start hiring some staff. And the first thing we're going to do, this opens up the opportunity for us to hire the rest of our executive staff. And we want a full staff of executives. So we've got CFO and COO, so we're going to grab the cheapest CIO of the two. Then we'll look at HR director, hire the cheapest one. Procurement director, she was just too poor. That one kind of red dot, you can't train them up high enough. They'll never be really any good. Just not good enough. And we get our strategy director. Now we're good. Train up all these people, and we've got that's a reasonable executive board right there. So we'll get good benefits from them, go all the way down the rest of the way. We're going to start with one janitor and one service technician. I don't even know if we even technically need them right now, but we'll grab them anyway. And we want a minimum of 4 passenger agents. You see, though, I would have taken 5 had they been available. That one was just too poor. She did not have enough ability. Same thing with that person and that person. So ramp agents, we can only find 3, so we're going to have to come back to them. And here we go. We've got we can just get our 4 security officers we need to get past this thing. We need 1 more ramp agent, so I'm going to put the filter on so I don't get anybody who just really isn't suitable. What I'm finding is, if you haven't figured it out, if a person has just kind of I think of it as 1 bar of red, they're just pass on them. They're just not. They don't have the ability to get up high enough. 2 bars of red, you can train them up to a relatively good green state, and they're okay. Prefer that they start in the yellow or orange, whatever color that is. Yellow, I guess it is. All right, so now we've hired our folks, and now they want us to get a master contract with an airline, and start, planning our flights. So what we're going to do in this case, something different. We are going to only do 3 airlines, and you can see we can only get the level 3 contracts, and I frankly can't tell the difference between 1, 2, and 3 on these airlines. Does anybody know what the difference is? The prices are the same. You get paid the same per flight. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, maybe it's the number of flights they offer. Does anybody know? If you know, put it in the comments. But we want 3 of these airlines to kind of focus on small flights, small planes. And I've looked through these, and I know Stripe is a good one. And Goose Wings is okay, and yeah, Maple Express, they're express, just what you'd expect. So we're going to have those 3 airlines only. We're going to sign contracts with them. And now I see something a little weird. I'm expecting to see 10 gates here, and I'm only seeing 2, 4, 6, 7. So 3 of these are either not commercial or not synced up to a boarding desk or whatever. So that one had the problem of no boarding. That one had a problem in both regards. And this one up here, same thing. So there's 2 of them. There's probably one more that's a problem for us. So we'll get all the ones connected to our building. We'll just click through them and make sure that they show that link back. And here we go. There's one that doesn't have, wasn't set commercial, didn't have a boarding desk. And that should give us the 10. And I'm just kind of double checking all of these. Sometimes the location of when you click on something, the info about it panel is just really in an irritating spot. But if you move around, you can get around it. Okay, I think we have all 10 now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes, we do. Including that, and now I see a mistake. There's actually a defect here. If you'll notice, there's a 15 and there's another. So it goes 6 through 13, then 15, 15. It should be obviously 13, 14, 15. So that one is misnamed. It's actually should be 14. So what I'm going to do, I want to have one gate that is not used, frankly. It's just going to be for emergencies. And so what we're going to do is rename this gate to make sure I can find it. It won't be a problem once it's scheduled, but I'm going to do this anyway, just to be sure. We're going to call it the emergency, I think emergency small stand or something. I don't remember what I ended up. Well, yeah, emergency small stand. Brilliant. All right, so that way we can find that one. The rest of them, the names don't matter. It doesn't matter what they're named. I just wanted to make sure that I could always find that one easily. So there it is up on the top. It's number 15 on the hit list. Now we can turn on Auto Planner because we have CFO, COO. But what we're going to do here is assign these gates. So we're going to put the first 3 to Stripe, the next 3 to Goose Wings, and the third 3 to I don't know, what is Maple, to Maple Express. So now we're going to look like an organized little airport. So we're going to have 3 gates for each of our carriers and 1 gate reserved as a miscellaneous. So our auto planners will know when they're setting the schedule to leave that emergency small stand alone and not book any flights into that stand, and just use your other 3 to get all your flights. And you only got 25 to deal with anyway, so 9 gates should be plenty to be able to eventually work up to a full load. And there we go. We can see that they're finding some flights for us and starting to set up a schedule. So we can look forward to around 5:0500 this morning, starting to get flights. And look here, we're already getting people coming in to our lobby and having a seat and waiting for check-in to open up. So what we're going to do here is set up queues. Set up a queue for that one. Now this one's a little bit cramped, but we're going to do what we can. We're just going to have to snake it in tight little columns here. There we go. And we'll set up queues for the check-in desks. One thing I don't know if I mentioned, you always have to go, notice how I'm going kind of one past that darkened line, but it shows to the end, right to that line. The very last one is actually the entry point. So it doesn't show the actual, what's the word? The fencing, wiring, what do you call it? The gate, whatever you want to call it. I forget what you call that stuff. Anyway, it doesn't call the little cattle herd fencing. It doesn't show that because that's your entry point. So the very last one's the entry point. So you have to kind of get used to that as you're setting these things. It kind of threw me for a while. It took me a while to get used to it. So now here we got a lot of traffic, a lot more people coming. We're starting to get full, and here we go. Our check-in has opened, and these people, and I'm happy to say, this is the first time, by the way, happy to say that these check-ins got their staff right away. That hadn't happened every time. And not only did they get their staff right away, but it looks like everything's working. The walls are not creating any problems. And we'll see later if people can come out through that security checkpoint. But you can see everybody's checking in and heading toward their gates. And now I finally, go do some more research. So I'm thinking we need to have some money. We need a income, but I decided rather than going that way, we're going to get program group 1 first. Reason being, if we get program group 1 and project group 1, we can have more researchers and speed all this up. So that's the plan, is to try to speed up the research. I mentioned that one of our goals for this is to have a profitable puddle jumper. At least I think I did. But the other goal is I want to get all the research done driven off of this little tiny airport. So this little tiny airport is going to be profitable. And it's going to fund all of our research and full staffing and the whole bit. Our executives and 30 administrators and the whole bit. So that's the plan coming out of this phase, that kind of the small airport puddle jumper phase, is to have research done. And here we go. We've got our first emergency. Now those things disappear in a hurry. And one thing it does, no matter what speed you're running, it automatically goes down to normal speed. And what's happened here is that a general aviation flight, the plane has been deemed to be mechanically lacking. It's got a problem. Ow. So what we've got to do now is set up a hangar for it to go into to get repairs. So I said we're leaving 10 down here. That was for a very specific reason. So that we would have 5 for the hangar and 5 for a runway to be able to put our hangars right down here. And so what we're going to do is put a hangar in, and we're going to run our runway down to it like so and get that built. And I scooted it 1 to the right. I could have put it right over there on the far left, but I didn't want to have our planes literally flying right over that hangar and landing just right after it. That just didn't seem like it made sense. We could do it, of course, but it just seemed wrong. So we're going to go ahead and build 3. Now we've got a Mayday. Now the Mayday needs fire truck. So there's an engine failure. We've got a small plane up there. It's got a fire. We're going to have to refuse that because we haven't done our emergency research. Now we're getting hit with another emergency, another need for a hangar. So we're building 3, and I'm glad we are. So what I'm looking at now is, when do we want to go to that other research? And I think this is yet another one, isn't it? Well, we've got 3 total. We refused the fire because there's nothing we can do about it. And we've got 2 that need hangars. So we'll just wait till these hangars are built. Now the hangars are built by default to be set for commercial, but there's a switch we can throw to turn them back to general aircraft. So once we get a couple of them built, we'll flip that switch. And here comes yet another emergency, and this is another hangar emergency. So we want to get these things built. We want to get the runway pathing set up, and as soon as that's done, then we'll have hangars available. Right now they're not available to us because we don't have a path to them. We do have runway. There we go. Now, actually, they haven't. The actual hangar hasn't been built yet. You can see that you can barely see it. The activity they are working on them. We've got one commercial and 2 general aviations that need those hangars. And I got to notice here that there's a problem in our flight monitor, and the only thing that's red is that we only have 12 out of 15 passengers for that flight. And I'm wondering if it's trying to tell us we have inadequate ground transportation. Honestly, I do not know. That's to be investigated. Anybody has a theory on that, let me know. There, that one got done, so we're going to flip it over to general aviation because that was the first one we had. And now that one's done. Now all 3 of them are done. So that middle one will be commercial, and the other 2 will be general aviation. You can see the planes coming down and getting into the hangars. And here's where I say these aren't challenges or problems. These are opportunities. Watch the money here. Once we start running this again, these things are going to make great money. But if I'm reading this correctly, we have 4 now. I don't know if that one we refused is still there. And we're just about broke. We are, however, making money. And the only reason we're making money is because of our problems. So we get a report saying, hey, you failed that engine failure. You left that guy hanging. Hopefully he made it somewhere. But the hangar emergencies we can handle because we can build hangars. So what we're going to do now is get that emergency response. So we want to get that so we don't miss out on any more of those. So we're going to put our folks on it. We're going to hire as many ramp agents, or administrators as we can. We'll take all 5 of them. Remember, our goal is to get to 30 and get to 30 fairly quickly. As fast as our money will allow, and in this case faster because it let us hire right into the negative. So we're actually down on the funds. But we want to load that up with researchers, get it going, and then since we've got 2 left over, we'll put them on one of the program things to give us a little bump for the time being. So we'll get our upkeep costs reduced a little bit here for a while. And we've still got that plane that needs a place to get help. And we're broke. So what else would you do? You would go get another loan, of course. So we're going to take that second loan that's available to us for a smaller amount, but it's okay, it's money. And we're going to build, I think it's 2 more hangars. Let's see here. Yep. We're going to build 2 more hangars and the runway to connect them. And once that's done, we'll get that plane we know of for sure. We've got one plane, one general aviation plane that needs a hangar right now. Now I'm getting those messages about flight delays. I haven't looked into that and really, I have to confess, not sure what to do about that. The one thing I am sure is I don't like getting those prompts. They're irritating, so I just set it to send them away. And you can see a whole bunch of planes just went away right there. Now we've gotten another emergency, so now we have 5. We have 5 emergencies, count them 5, going here on our, what is this, day 3. Early in day 3, we've got 5. We've now been hit by 6 because we had the one we couldn't possibly do. So we're waiting for these 2 hangars to get built. Once they're built, we will make sure they got the right setting, commercial or general aviation, so that we can get a plane in there. The first one we get finished, we want to put it on general aviation because that guy's been there a little bit, and we don't want to miss the opportunity of getting him done, because if we don't get him done in time, we would get dinged for it. So there, he's a general aviation. The other one is commercial. So we should see that plane as soon as he gets a chance. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of outgoing traffic right now, but as soon as he gets a chance, he'll back out of there and come on down and set himself up for repairs. Okay, now we just finished the turnaround and the I guess I don't know if we finish the research. What just happened to us? But we got a $1 million bonus, and I think we took more loans. We're still not making money, of course not. But we've got a $1 million bonus because we've advanced through that first phase of the tutorial, and we're turning around commercial flights. So they moved that up, I think. I thought it came later in Alpha 35. I thought you had to wait longer to get that thing. Now this plane is bugging me. Is he ever going to leave and go to a hangar? We've got one. And maybe I goofed up. Maybe I needed 2 of those. Huh. I didn't see them, I have to admit. But now we've got all 5 hangars full of airplanes, mostly general aviation. We've got flights that are being boarded. We can see too that people are able to leave that exit. It's a cramped, crappy little design right there. We'll fix that in episode 2. But now I see a problem. People can't leave. And if you hover over it, it says that it basically eventually tells you there's not enough ways to get out of the airport. And what they're really saying is we don't have enough ground transportation. So we built our little starting point there, one taxi, one bus, one car, just to get us going. Oh, and by the way, I noticed here that I built all these nice restrooms and didn't turn them on. That was a missed opportunity, but now we'll make up for that, get that turned on, and we'll have restrooms throughout the place. I suspect they're going to be very popular here at first. But what we got to do now is improve our ground transportation, just increase our capacity. So what we're going to have here is like another line that does buses. And I was looking at it to see if you can turn it either way. And it's unfortunate you can't back-to-back them and share that platform in the middle, but that doesn't work. So I'm looking at this to say, well, if I turn it this way, it's going to go out 3, but if I turn it this way, it actually only takes up 2. So it's really more efficient to have the buses set up, turned like that. So just using that exact same road again. So we need a little more concrete. We need a little more sidewalk to go out there and match up to the platforms from those buses. And then we can put in crosswalks, and people will be able to get off those buses and walk down those platforms and cross the crosswalk and into the airport. And what we're going to do here is actually have a whole new line, if you will, a whole new road to come in there. So our main loop is going to feed multiple little rows of pavement, so to speak, that feed to the various stuff. And I started to put one in, and I realized right here we don't need one because obviously we're using the same one that's already exists. We're using our first one there to do these new bus stops. And I don't know if this is the magic number, but so far I haven't been in a situation with more than 5 emergencies. So I'm thinking the way it's programmed, they've got space up there for 5 emergencies. That's how many you're going to have. And on extreme, I have a feeling we're going to have 5 running, pretty much all the time. Now I see a message up there that our emergency response unit research has finished. And you can see it's checked off down here on the left on our checklist for the tutorial as well. But I'm still thinking about what do I want to do. I want to set up, we've got a row, we're going to have a row of bus stops. And I want to have kind of a parallel row of taxi stops. And that's where I was looking to see, is it possible to share. It'd be nice if I could take that platform, overlap the other one, and not build 2 and just let them share the platform, but you can't do that. So what I decided to do is just make them back to back like that, and then put, we'll need a road system. So we're going to run a road that goes all the way down to kind of the main loop that gets you out of the airport. And we're going to need some more concrete to kind of match up. Now, actually, this I'm building this kind of in advance of other builds. So we're going to put in car stops, and I thought I was. And I decided there's no point in going way down there to build these if I can build them here right next to what I've already got. So we're going to move our build up here, and we'll keep expanding in both directions as we need more and more. We'll just be able to add them along the row and have more taxi stops and more bus stops. And over here we'll have car stops. So we're just going to put car stops in like so, using that same road. And then we'll have to switch the way they load on some of them to make sure they're not doing these weird U-turns. There you see that bus just took a weird U-turn, that brown bus or gray bus. And we'll fix that. Put in a little more sidewalk to go out to that next row we're creating. And I've really got the emergency response done, and I'm really focusing on what I'm doing here. Now we're building a lot of concrete. We got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to say, okay, go get us some more builders. Bring them all out here again. Because you can see people are lined up. When you see that red exclamation point down there at that car stop, that means you've got that particular queue is full and you can't put any more people there, and that's where you start having your problems. So now, what other thing do we want to get into? Now we need some money. We need to quit leaking oil quite so much. So we're going to try to turn ourselves into a little mini mall by putting our administrators on franchise shops. We've got one left over. After we max that out, we'll add that to the upkeep cost research or ongoing project, and keep on trucking here. All right, so at this point, I'm aware that the emergency response research is done, and we can start doing our thing there. But I want to get this transportation taken care of, because there's no point. We're just going to break down. We're not going to work if we can't get people in and out of the airport. So there you can see I'm switching the side that people board, so that the vehicles won't come in and make a weird U-turn to get into their boarding spot. They'll just drive right in, going on off that one-way road. Now I'm thinking about, well, where would we put the emergency response? And my original intent was to put it right out there in the middle, so that it would be centralized to all the other stuff we're going to do with our airport here. But I decided to go ahead and get it done because I was sort of kind of hoping we would get another bad emergency. Sorry, that sounds sick, but I was. So I decided it might be easiest to just go ahead and put it right down here. We've got some space, so I'm trying to see, well, how would this fit in if we wanted to put a police station? We could just link it directly into our line like that, or we could put it down here near our checkpoint. Kind of a logical place for a police station. And now I want to see where I want to make sure our fire and ambulance, our response will fit, and it will. It'll fit nicely right there, so we can go back and grab our police and put it right there next to the checkpoint. And now we've got police and emergency services buildings being built, and we finished off that expansion of our ground transportation. Got a couple of directions to set on some of those car stops, and now looking pretty good. So now we can get the emergency response up, and we're going to get that done. So I'm going to stay with this one. This is a little bit long, but we're going to stay with it, get this done, and we're going to go through the initial setup tasks for this before we move on, before we call it a day and go on to episode 2. So now we can buy, I'm looking at buying the emergency vehicles, but we can't until the buildings are built. That's actually what I was checking. Can I go ahead and buy them? No, you can't. We've got to wait till that police station's built to buy a police car, and the fire emergency services station is built before we get our ambulance and fire station. And there we go. I think they're done. And this is neat. They've got filters now. So you can filter this and say, I don't want everything. You can say what pieces you really want. This is nice. This is going to be very useful later as we get more and more vehicles. Right now we've got limited ones to select from, but when we get different types of baggage trucks and load, all that stuff, it's going to be nice to be able to filter them down a little bit. So now we can see our emergency vehicles, and we're going to order a police car and an ambulance and a fire truck, and wait on those to get to our airport. And you can see our 5 hangars are there just cranking out money. Another task we have is to build something else that's new, this bird strike prevention system. So what this is, basically, it's a little rotating thing that fires out, like, I don't know if it's a high-pitched frequency or something that irritates birds. But it basically, when a bird is flying along in a path that would come in, intersect with the kind of, quote, rays, unquote, coming out of that thing, it will veer off at 180 degrees to one side or the other. So it's basically repulsing the birds. And so, but it has a range, and you can increase the range and draw more power, which then increases the cost of running it. But what I'm going to do is build 3, one on each end, one toward the center, one near each end, one at the center. But I goofed up on that center one there. I was thinking the center of our terminal was the center of the runway, and it isn't, because of course our terminal is offset up there 5 stands to the north. So we're going to take this one down and bring it down more. There's where I'm talking about that whoops, I'm off a little bit. So I'm going to run it up here and put it, let's see, kind of in between those two, right about there. That'll do. All right, so we're going to have 3 bird, what do you call it? What are they called? Bird strike prevention system. That's it. So we're going to have 3 of those to cover the entire runway. That should make us nice and safe. And we've got our franchise shops done. Now we're going to set up Project Group 2, which arguably I could have done earlier, so that we can have 2 groups doing research at the same time. Now that we have police, fire, and ambulance, as soon as we get the bird strike prevention system built, then here we go. One of them must be built now, because now we're moving on to the next phase. So what we have to do now is set up patrols. We have to have ground patrols in the terminal and police car patrols out on our service roads. And it's kind of weird. They will not patrol the public access. They only patrol the service roads. But anyway, what you do is you grab this ground patrol, and then you just start making points and kind of say, okay, well, here's how this guy's going to walk, guy or gal who's our patrol officer, going to walk around and kind of check things out, make sure everything's cool. And you don't have to loop all the way back, but you do have to right-click on the one where you started it and select it, and that gives you your route. So we've got one for walking. Now they want us to build one for the car. So we go down to our patrols and select the car one, and we can just start him here, and we'll say, okay, we'll go over to the checkpoint and go there, go down this intersection, come on up here, go on out and check out their parking lot and come back. You get the idea. So I'm just clicking so that the car can drive around and check out things, basically check out our whole thing. And you don't have to really tell it to come back. I was thinking about putting another one on there, but it just didn't seem to work. So I just went back to the front, right-click to the start, right-clicked. Now we have that patrol. Now they want us to delete a patrol. Well, I'll be if I'm going to build these two and then delete one. So we're going to build a little bogus one down here, a throwaway, like so. Go back here, right-click it, and then we're going to delete that one so that we can show, we know how to delete a patrol. There we go. So we keep the two we set up, and now we have moved ahead to the international airport phase. So we are in very good shape. We have a full-blown emergency response unit. We have our patrols set up. We have fire and ambulance. So if we get another Mayday, like that one we had to turn down, we can actually respond to it now. And there I was just checking the comment I made earlier about you can't patrol the public access road, which I find that a little weird actually, but that's okay. That's okay. It is what it is. So that is a pretty strong little airport, a little puddle jumper airport, and we should be able to make a profit out of that airport, and we're going to find out in the next episode if we can. We're going to make a bunch of improvements to the airport, and we're going to really get our research rocking and rolling, and that's the plan for episode 2. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Airport CEO video. Thank you.